guys. We're just gonna jump right in. I'm sure Caleb is ready for us for the part 3 on this series. I really want to say thank you to Caleb for taking time out of his schedule to do this for the Wokkah Learn community, and I'm sure that we've gained 1 or 2 things so far, and we're already putting it to work. So Caleb, you have the floor. Thank you so much. And guys, enjoy your time. All right, I'll see you on the other side.
Hello everyone. How you doing? I hope I'm audible. Can you guys hear me? All right. So we've made it to the last, the 3rd session of the idea to product series, and it's been an interesting journey from when we started the ideation, the things we needed to do to validate the ideas, and the things we did in the last session, which was the actual creating the documents needed to actually build what we needed to build. So yeah, the hardest part is over. The hardest part is over, and I'm sure we've learned 1 or 2 things. If I'm sure maybe later on we can do a review where you get to ask questions, but this session would be much shorter. It will just be like the overview of what tying it all together, right? So let's get on with it. So where did we start? We started with an idea. So let's build out an actual product right here. So an actual product that we'll be able to use and go through all of the steps that products go through, so that we learn each step and how to do it, even as independent founders or just someone that has an idea, someone that wants to launch a business or a solution or something. So yeah, we started there in session 1. We focused on, we got the idea, we kind of refined it. We kind of refined it, and that led us to the PRD, right? We said that most people just, with the advent of AI now, they just get like a shower thought or something drops in their head and they go straight to AI and say, build me this. But there should be some things to go in between. Most likely, if you run it that way, you wouldn't get exactly what you want. You wouldn't get the output you want, because there will be a lot of assumptions, right? So both on your parts and then on the part of the AI that would be doing a lot of the technical work. So we said the procedural approach, where you kind of define what you are seeing, then you create like a set of features, not all of the features. But if you go to an LLM and say, build me this, the AI will just assume all of the features and try to build it out of once, and that might lead to the wrong output. But a quick, predictable MVP was the target. So what we did then, we didn't want to make any assumptions that our product is even valid, right? So we started with the validation step, where we kind of launched a waitlist, like a landing page and a waitlist. So we used AI and you can, if you have not seen those previous sessions, I'm sure it's up on YouTube. You can go through them later on to fully catch up. So we created the landing page that just stated the value of what we were building, and we added a waitlist to it. So when the user clicks the button, they just enter their name, their email, and the information that we need, right, to know, are people actually interested in this or not. So that was the waitlist. That was the first step of validation, and we're able to get that in a matter of minutes. That's usually the first step from idea, because when you see it, you are thinking, oh, I have this idea, I want to build this, I want to do that. But you're thinking of all of the bells and whistles at that point. But I think the first thing is actually getting interest signals. Would people be interested in this? Is there any discussion, conversation, maybe on social media, on forums that validates this problem that my idea, that my application is going to be addressing, right? So yeah, we did that. That was the first session. We created the waitlist. So we assume that once we start getting entry input in our waitlist, it means some people might be interested in this product. Okay, so the product we were building, the product we based all this whole series around it's called Shipyard. It's like a community for founders and enthusiasts to come together and actually build in public, collaborate, and share ideas, right? So that was the premise of the whole this whole series. And in the first session, we validated the idea, created the wait list, was able to collect input, we linked it to Airtable. So the focus was using available tools, free and available tools, to quickly go live in a matter of days, right? That's like the first thing. So from your idea to your landing page to your wait list or whatever mechanism you want to use to measure interest, you want to get that out very fast before you now determine if it's even worth building, because not all ideas are worth building, and it's good to have that data before you start building anything, right? So we did that. The first step was validation. The second step was now creating all of the documents needed to get things going. So the first one was the PRD, and the PRD tries to answer three questions. Um, what problem are we solving and for who? What features are needed in this version and what are we not building yet? So those questions, what the PRD answers, and we generated the PRD. We generated the PRD in that session. I'm sure we're all able to generate a PRD now based on what we learned then, just giving it your ideas, giving it the features you want, and then say, write a properly structured PRD. You can include whatever additional information you want, but most importantly, it needs to include the problem, it needs to include the target audience, it needs to include the core features, right, that you want to build in that first version. You want it to include what is out of scope, and you want it to include what's done means for that particular iteration. It can contain other things, but these five sections are very, 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 very important, right? So that is the PRD. It answers the question of what problem are we solving, what are we building for, what features needs to be in this version, and then what are we explicitly not building yet. So if I go to our PRD, the PRD created for this product, let me try to open that. The PRD with Shipyard. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the PRD we created for Shipyard. You can see the product, the problem statement. You can see the target users. So it's targeted at beginners and intermediate builders, right? Developers, designers, etc. So it clearly defines who the users are. It clearly defines the features, right? So it would have a public feed where anyone can post an idea or a project, a problem, and then posts are displayed in chronological order. You can see that breakdown. Feed is paginated or infinite scroll. So for each feature, it's broken down into the sub features and the characteristics it would have. So the platform should allow us to create a post maybe about a build, about an idea, about a problem. Just a simple submission that you can fill that has title, description, category. So it will be public. The public will be able to see some of those posts, right? So we said upvote. We want people to be able to upvote some of those ideas. So if you're a builder, say you're a designer or you have domain knowledge in one area and you see a problem, say maybe you are an HR professional or something, you see someone post a problem around personnel management and it sounds interesting to you, you could upvote. The platform that we were building would allow you to upvote that so that the owner can say, okay, people are actually interested in this. Just a signal to say, okay, people are interested in this. And then we said we wanted to have category filtering so that you can filter by the categories if it's either a problem, if it's an idea or an actual build or something you want to launch. And then some other stuff. And like we said that particular iteration has some stuff that are out of scope, right? So all listed here. It's a simple one, but it's very, very important. And when I go through the actual product, you would see how important it is. So that is that about the PRD. The thing about we spoke about this paradigm where you don't go tool first, because in 2026 there are hundreds of tools. The tooling is not the problem. Tooling is not the problem anymore. It's how you want to execute. If you start worrying about the tools at the beginning without having clarity about what you want to build, there is a very high possibility that one could run into issues later on. But that clarity is very, very important, because at the end, we want fast execution, right? We want to go to market very fast. And that's why we're leveraging artificial intelligence. But to properly leverage artificial intelligence to reap the benefits, having that clarity works. So in the second session, having that clarity is very important. In the second session, we built on top of the PRD, because it's not just the PRD document that you need, right? You need like six different documents to make the execution very, very smooth, right? So the first one is the user stories, right? So that document is about the flow, what your users need to be able to do on the platform. So going from the PRD, you can always extract, okay, we want users to be able to post. You can see, as a user, I want to be able to post an idea or a project or something, right? So for user stories, it answers the question of who does what and why. So it helps to identify actors and justify every feature. So the common format for user stories is you're writing it in the perspective of the actual user of the platform. So for example, in our case, this is what the user story looked like. Right, so this is the user story. So it says, so you can see the breakdown. So from the user stories, we can see that we have three types of users. We have the guest, we have the authenticated user, and then so it's categorized and the admin. So it categorizes what each of the user class is able to do. So you can see, as a guest, I want to be able to browse the public feed. Just that statement alone has given you knowledge of how and what you need to build, right? It means you need to build a page that anyone can come in and access directly. It doesn't need to be protected or be behind any authentication, because you want people, the public, to see what you are posting. So as a builder, I want to be able to create a profile. I want to be able to add links. I want to be able to. So you see all of that. It's broken down. Now imagine you started coding just from the idea. That clarity, a lot of assumptions will be made around the way, which would cost more time to actually execute what your actual vision is. So that's that about user stories. Next is the entity relationship diagram. Now, the entity relationship diagram focuses on the data. What data are we collecting, and how do we store the data? How does every piece of data relate to each other, right? So that's what the entity relationship diagram answers. It's more of a technical. It's not so technical, but it's the beginning of the technical journey. It helps. It maps all of the data in a way that it becomes clear. So, for example, our user story says we want the builder to be able to create an account. So it means that our to be able to create an account and create posts. So it means that our data structure needs to collect emails somehow. Our data structure needs to allow one user to have many posts. Are we all tracking? Or shall I take a step back? All right. Oh, cool. Cool. So I can go on then. So that's what the ERD does. And for us, the ERD for Shipyard looks like this. This is what the entity. So for the main entities, we have the users, we have the posts, we have upvotes, we have profiles, and all of that. I don't want to get too technical, but so you can see we mapped for users, we're collecting the email, we're collecting the username, we're tracking when the user was created. For profile, we're collecting their name, their bio, their skills, blah, blah, blah. So you see, from without even starting anything yet, you already know what you need to collect and what your database needs to have. Right. So that is that about the ERD. I'm trying to go through this as fast as possible so that we can actually walk through the product of all of this, the final platform that all of these things gave us. The third is the user flow. Now we know the user story. We know what the user wants to do and why. We know the data we are collecting. The user flow is how does it work for the user, right? All of the steps, all the pages, all the screens, all the buttons they need to click to be able to perform one thing is what the user flow document allows us to achieve. So for us, we mapped out all of those flows, and the final user flow document that we generated looks like this. So the first flow, of course, we want sign up and onboarding. So step by step, right? The user lands on the landing page, it clicks this button, this happens. So even if you don't have a product yet, but you can see here, everything is already thought out. And this is what allows you to make the most of the AI coding assistance, right? Because everything is already thought out, no assumptions, it's very clear, right? So we mapped out all our flows, how to create a post, how to upvote, and all of the flows. So that's the fourth. No, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the fourth document, the third one for the second session, but the fourth document, that's our PRD document, our user stories document, our ERD document, our user flow document. Third is the stack. Stack is more like the technology, right? The technology you are using to build whatever you are building. And we focus more on the tools that are pretty accessible and almost like that has a very good free tier, right? So we chose the stack. We wanted to build the front end in, we wanted to build back end in, what our database would be like, and all of that. So all of that is what is defined in Stack. Because if you were going the other route and say, AI, build me this, all of those things would be assumed. AI might choose a framework that you are not familiar with, or you complicate things. So having that document, all of that specification also helped in for us. It was more of the next year's React stack, right? So that many people are familiar with that, and we don't want to get too complicated because it's just a three-part series. Then finally is the action document. The backlog is where this is more like a to-do list, your to-do list of everything that has to be done from the beginning to the end of that iteration. So that will be highlighted in backlog document. It's just a to-do list, nothing more of everything to be done from the beginning to the end. So you can see task 1, do this, task 2, do this, task 3, do this, task 4, do this. All of that will be created from the PRD and the user flow and the other document. So each document leads to the other one, and it helps. The quality of the previous document helps the quality of the next document. So once we had all of that, document, we just went to our AI, whatever you're using. Some people use Cursor, some people use Lovable, Replit, whatever. You can just go giving all of these as a guide. And with this, the output you get is a lot more accurate. It's a lot more accurate and more in line with your vision, because basically everything is already thought out on paper before one line of code went out. And from the previous validation we did for our product, we know that there's actually interest for that product. So these 6 documents are pretty important: the PRD, the user story, the ERD, the user flow, your stack definition, and your to-do list. So any artificial intelligence, again, we give some free, some accessible AI code assistance. There is a Kilo code that you can use if you have VS Code. The Kilo code, I dropped the Kilo code is an extension, although it has a standalone, but you can also, if you already have VS Code, you can get the Kilo code extension on top of it. It has a very robust, good models that you can actually use to get started. So you might want to take note of that. We're trying to stick to all of the free tools so that anybody in the community can actually practice, because it's all about practice, right? It's all about being able to get your ideas out there really, really, really fast, really, really quickly, and releasing an actual stable and good product. So that is the goal. The costs, and the output. The speed, the cost, and the quality. That's the leverage that AI gives. Right. So we did all of that. We started gave it to the code assistant and all of that, and we have our product. I'm happy to say our product is ready to launch. So let me show a walkthrough of our product. So this is what Shipyard is. This is the finished product, ready to launch. We'll be launching it now. We'll be deploying it right now. So this is the landing page. You're able to sign up. You sign up. Okay, so for the stack, for authentication, we used Clark. I think we introduced us to Clark in the first and second class. Clark is good when you are starting, when you want something fast. It's free at the beginning. I think it allows you to have like 10,000 users. Of course, at the point where your product already has 10,000 users, you already know that immediate cost is not your concern. That's a good problem. right? So Clerk allows you to do that quickly and all of, because it's secure, authentication and security is very important. Most applications, of course, you need it has protected pages and all of that. So getting your authentication right is very, very important, and for the experience of the user and for the stability of your own platform and your own business. So going with tools like Clerk is a good idea when you want to get to market really fast. So that is what we used. So we built in the authentication key. So when you come in, you click your email, you get the authentication code, and you log in, right? So this is our landing page. Something simple, nothing too crazy, but the goal is to be able to do those things. So now let us go back to our PRD, the things we said we wanted to have. So we said we wanted a public feed, right, where people can view posts. So let's go to our application, browse the feed. So this is the feed, right? You can see all the list of all of the ideas that people are posting. You can go in and actually read those ideas. So that is one big part of it. That's the biggest part of it already checked out. So we have the public feed. You don't have to be logged in to be able to see all of this. So that part is done. What else did we say we wanted? We said being able to filter, right? Being able to filter by the category. So we have the build. So you can filter. If you go to build, it will only show actual platform ideas. If you go ideas, it means the raw abstract ideas. And if you go to problem, it means it's a problem someone in the community is actually facing. So that works already. So imagine we did not specify all of those at the beginning. The user will find it slightly harder to navigate through all of the posts that people are making, right? Also, we have, based on time and based on activity, the ability to sort the projects. For example, we want projects that people are interested in to come up first. You just go to trending and then you will see all of the upvotes. So yeah, that is one big part of our product live. From our idea, this is working and ready for deployment. Next is, we said we wanted people to be able to logged in users now to be able to create posts. So very simple. You just come to write. You can choose, are you building something that you're actually going to ship? Is it just an idea you want to get people's opinion about? Or is it a problem you're facing and you want someone in the community? I want someone in the community to actually shed some insights into what the issue is. So for example, if I post a problem and I say no, that's not a problem. And say how, okay, let me just post the product. Introducing Shipyard. Introducing Shipyard. A community for builders. A community for builders. And then you can just now write whatever you want to write about that product you are introducing. If you are looking for collaboration, you can specify, say, I need a co-founder, I need a designer, and all of that. You can add tags. If it's about AI, if it's about fintech, you can do all that and you can publish. So that is the second piece of, I need to restart the server. because I'm still running locally before we deploy. That's the second piece of what we defined in our PRD. Right, so that piece is gone. What else is there? The ability to upvote. The ability for people now reading the post to upvote. So you can open one post. You click here to upvote. You can save the post so that you can go back to your saved post and bookmark it to read it later. That feature is there. And what else did we say? The ability to search, because when many people are using the app, right, you would have a lot of posts. So the ability to search is also a feature that is also done. We have the ability to collaborate. So if you have an idea and you're looking for someone to collaborate with you on that idea, you can go here and see, okay, anybody that says I'm open to collaboration, you can see them, see their profile, and have them join your project or whatever. So it's a community of builders, people with ideas, with insights, working together publicly to actually create stuff. Then we have leaderboard based on all of those products that have been launched. We'll have a leaderboard of what's buzzing, right? What products are people interested in, and all of that. What are the top posts? What are the and people in the community, in the Shipyard community, interested in? Problems. Yeah, this is a specific problem board, and then it will also lead to further discussion and collaboration, right? So, in short, we have there is also notifications. For example, if someone comments, there's something I didn't show: the ability to comment. The ability to comment on a post, so you can actually write a comment and comment. So the person sees it, and that's how the collaboration happens, back and forth, until you get the solution you are looking out for, the insights you're looking out for. You also have the ability to follow profiles, right? If you have this profile, it's aligned with what I'm doing, you're able to follow profiles. So it has become a very big platform. And how did we start? We started with a well-defined PRD, user story, ERD, user flow, and all of that. Of course, this has gone through like 2 iterations. At the beginning, you don't want your features to be so much. You want to defer some features to the next iteration. But this has gone through about 2 iterations after the last session. So we can say that we have a product. We've gone from idea to product. I don't see emojis flying. Right. So what's next? Now we've gone from idea, we have product, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Because that's when it's just like a baby, right? You have been carrying a baby for 9 months. You think the day you give birth is where it ends, but no, that is the beginning of another journey. So that journey is what would quickly be going through. Now, first is deployment. Now it's living on our laptop or something. We want the whole world to see it, right? So we need to find a way to actually get it deployed. So depending on the stack and the framework your product is running on, because there are a lot of click to deploy services for non-technical folk that helps get things out faster. But for us, we we were using React, so Vercel is a good option deploying for deploying something like this. So to deploy on Vercel, you need to, of course, have a Vercel account. It's free. Vercel gives you very robust usage. You don't need to worry about like traffic and all of that for a long time. So Vercel is what we would be deploying on. Right. So let me kickstart that process. So you create your Vercel account, and then you, if it's a code, if it's a file, you want to move it to you want to move it to you want to move it to where Vercel will be able to kind of pick it up. Right. So let me get started with that. In some minutes, the application would be live. So any questions while I get it started, while I get started on that? Any questions? No questions. So it means we're all following and we're able to actually replicate this same thing to get the results we want. So having a GitHub is also important. You want to have somewhere to be able to store your code, right? You don't just want to put your code on your system or something like that. So being able to push your code to, of course, this is directed at the non-technical folk among us. The more technical folk already know what what they need to do, right? So what GitHub is for version control. You're able to push your code and save it there so that you can like roll back if you need to. You can see the different versions. You don't um, you don't lose your work essentially. So that is what GitHub does. And then another thing that happens there is um, it gives you it gives you automation because if of course you have an app now, like I said, it doesn't stop there, right? There'll be updates, there would be there will be new stuff rolling out. So you want a kind of automation that would help you be able to deploy more easily. More easily. So that's what GitHub gives you. It also gives you that automation to automate your deployment. For example, if you launch and you have some people already using your app and you want to push a new version, you don't want anything you are doing to affect what those people are doing. And at the same time, you want to seamlessly deploy the new changes, right? So having a good like a pipeline, a simple pipeline that would build your app and release your app in a safe way without crashing or affecting the current users. Those are some of the things that you need to consider when you are deploying. So GitHub has something called GitHub Actions that allow you to automate all of that. So from GitHub Actions, you are able to connect your GitHub Actions to your Vercel. So Vercel will pick it up from your GitHub. GitHub is where you store the code. Vercel is where you want to deploy. So Vercel would pick it up from GitHub and then run the build. It would build the application and release your application so it's publicly available to users. So those are some of the important parts after you've actually built your app, after you've tested it on your local or wherever you've tested it, you're ready to go live. Your deployment pipeline is another thing becomes important. Your deployment pipeline becomes very important at that point because now it's about releasing updates in a safe and predictable way. Right. Another thing that is very important is now you want to be able to monitor what people are doing on your application. Now everybody is using your app. You want to know what they are doing. So having a kind of monitoring and analytics on your application is also very important. And there are a lot of tools that allow you to do that. So you have I think the easiest is Google Analytics. So Google Analytics allows you to see what people are doing on your application. You're able to track the number of people that visit this page or that page. And then you're able to see, okay, what people are actually interested in, what is bringing them, where are they coming from? This also speaks to your marketing. If you get to that point where you start marketing, you want to know which medium are your people coming from so that you can optimize that. So that is why you need analytics. Google Analytics is good. So it could just be, you could just go to the code assistant you're using. It's pretty easy to implement and say, hey, implement Google Analytics for this product to track so and so. So and so. Right. So having a good analytics is very important. Another thing that is important is your monitoring. While analytics measures more about behavior, like user behavior, monitoring helps you measure, like see errors and failures, right? So if your users are having errors, you want to be able to see it so that you're not blind to what your users are actually experiencing. So having a good monitoring system is 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 also a must-have, and there are also some accessible tools you can use for that. For example, Sentry is one example that allows you can easily plug in any application and just see the errors as it's happening and all of that. So I will drop the link to the chart in the chart so that we can check it out. Sentry is a good one. It helps you see the errors as it's happening so that you can trace what exactly went wrong and fix it. Because if you have an error, you don't want your users to keep having that same error. So you want to quickly go in and fix whatever the error is. So that is another important part. So now we're doing post release, right? We've done everything we need. We've gone from product to we've gone from idea to product. Now the things you can't just release and go to sleep, right? You need to keep keep improving what you have built. So those are the things that would help you achieve that in a way that your procedure becomes predictable. Yeah, so having a good analytics to see how people are going through your site, having monitoring to see the failures and quickly fixing it. So those are some of the most important things at the beginning. What the other thing that is important is security. Before you release, before you go public, you want to do like a security audit to be sure your keys, because we're using a number of tools. We're using Clerk, we're using Bestseller and all of those things. If what you are building is an AI product, you would have maybe some API keys somewhere. So the first thing you want to do is you want to um you want to be able to be sure that you're not vulnerable, you're not leaving yourself vulnerable to attacks, because cybersecurity is a very important consideration, a very important consideration at this point, because most likely what you'll be building would have like payments and things connected to it, right? So you want to be sure that your app is safe enough for you, for your business, and for the users that are using that will be using the application. So that is another important consideration to make, being able to be sure that you are not leaving anything unchecked in such a way that it can be used against you, in such a way that it can be used against you. So those three things are very, very important. Being able to see that after you've developed, being able to see what your users are doing, how they are using the product, being able to see errors, as they happen so you can quickly fix them, and then being able to be sure that your system is hardened enough that it's not it's not vulnerable to attacks and all of that. So those are some post deployment considerations to be made, so that once you deploy your application, everything goes smoothly. Everything goes smoothly. So yeah, I would say to a large extent that is the end of the series. We started with that idea. We kind of validated it. We created the we created the documents we needed to actually build out the code using AI, like code assistants. And then we built it out, we tested it, we saw that everything we planned, it's completely in line with our vision. And then we deploy it, and now we are discussing about the things we need to do, the things we need to put in place, the things we need to put in place for things to run smoothly that after that deployment. So Shipyard is live. In some minutes, the final URL would be shipyard.wokkah.ai. I think it's still kind of propagating the domain because we have to assign an actual domain to it. Okay, one thing I did not talk about was getting your domain right. Now you've deployed, you have a link, but you want to actually make it visible or available to the world. You want a name, a domain name, something.com, myidea.com, myproject.com, something like that. So for that to happen, you need a domain name, and there are many providers you can use. So you buy a domain name, say maybe GoDaddy or Namecheap or Namebright or Go54 or whatever. There are, depending on the kind of name you want to use, there are several options, right? There are several options. So you buy that and then you link your deployment, whatever you deploy, you link it to your domain so that whatever is on Vercel actually can actually be linked to that name so that when people visit that name, they they are able to see your product. They're able to see your product. So that is that is another important thing. So with Vercel, you're able to import custom domain. You're able to import a custom domain and actually change that domain to link to your own to your own um to your own project. Your own project. So for example, this is vercel.com. This is vercel.com. You're able to create a project on vercel.com and link your code to it, and then you're able to add the domain. You're able to add the domain like a custom domain so that your domain is what people would see. Your domain is what people would see and will be able to visit. Will be able to visit. So that's another important step, because if you release your application and people don't have a memorable way to visit your site, people won't know. People still would not be able to access your site. So, for example, this is Vercel. Once you create a project, you see add a domain, right? Then you can enter whatever domain you have purchased, www.mygrandidea.com or .net or whatever. And then this way you're able to people are able to visit myidea.com and actually see the application that you have deployed. So those things are the considerations to be made post deployment, post development, to make sure things are actually running properly. So yeah, I think we've covered everything right from the beginning, from the idea phase, validating our idea, creating the document, we need, generate code, and then generate code, confirm that all of the fields are working, and then we are doing the things we need to do post deployment so that people now, actual users, can access access our application. So yeah, once the deployment is done, I will drop the link on the community. So it will be actually a product that we would be using in the community. People can share ideas, collaborate on the problems and all that. And even we can keep on improving. We can make it a public build where we keep on improving the platform. So yeah, this is the output of the series. We've learned first how to identify ideas, how to validate ideas, how to generate the things needed to build out the idea, how to build the idea, how to test and confirm that we are aligned, then how to deploy and how to make everything accessible on the global internet and how to make sure things are secure. So those are the key steps. The key steps: ideation, validation, development, deployment, and monitoring and security. So from these three classes, I think we've been able to learn one or two things of each of that, and I'm sure we would be able to apply all of that in our own product. So when I log into Shipyard tomorrow and next week, I actually want to see people posting their ideas, posting things they are doing, and hopefully find people to collaborate with and to make this actual product continue to be useful and continue to get better. Thank you very much. I think that would be all from me. Jojo, over to you.
So much, Caleb. Please let's appreciate Caleb. Thank you, Joel, already for, that beautiful hand clap. Thank you so much, Caleb. It's been a lengthy series, but also a very, very productive one. And I like the fact that we can all engage with what we have worked on. So I'm looking forward to see all our engagements, all the ideas we're going to come up with and build out as the weeks run by. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for participating. And thank you in advance for engaging and, bringing up your ideas that are going to be solutions to, the problems we have around. Because it's very important to apply all these things and not just hear them or just know how they work. Try and apply them. And that is how we bring solution to our environment, our immediate communities, and all. So thank you once again, Caleb, for your time. Thank you, Buko and Elijah, for assisting on this platform. So to everyone, we'll see in 2 weeks again as we continue to learn on this Wokkah platform. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.